And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Yes.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
That is right. Let us go to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, and let's pick it up at verse 13. Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 13. When you get there, Brother Marcus, please read.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
That's the old saying, you ain't getting away, you're just getting by. Because he's going to bring all things to fruition that you're doing, sisters and brothers. The Lord said he tries the reins.
Yes, sir.
He knows your heart. Revelation 22nd chapter. Pick it up at verse 12. Verse 12, Brother Marcus. 22 and 12. Go ahead.
And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
So the Lord said, he coming, and he bringing a reward with him. And if you want to receive this reward, sisters and brothers, you got to keep his commandments. And if you see any of these things within yourself in verse 15, you got to change those things immediately. Because he said, if not, you're going to be without the kingdom, which is the lake of fire, sisters and brothers. So whoremongers, dogs which are homosexuals, you got to stop all those things. Happy Sabbath, sons, sisters, and brothers. The sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, spiritually and physically. It's always good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day.
That's right.
I'd like to say happy Sabbath to those who are watching us live via internet. And if you're in the Cleveland area, we urge you to come on down and join us at 3711 East 131st Street. The Lord commanded us to have a holy convocation. He told us, forsake not the assembly and the gathering together, sisters and brothers. So if you're in this area, come on out and have a convocation with us. Sisters and brothers, it is always good to be here. I came down with another fellow teacher, Brother Marcus, and another fellow teacher, Brother James, and some other great evangelists I brought with me. I brought Brother Mark and Brother Winston. And it's always good to call on brothers, even fellow teachers, and they are willing to come down, even say they're willing to read for you. I feel like I should be reading for this brother, but he's reading for me. But it's a blessing. It's always a blessing. Sisters and brothers, today we're going to deal with something that's going on, especially among our community. You know, especially among Israel. Because the Lord told Israel when Israel sinned in the wilderness, he told Israel, you taught the wicked one their ways. You taught the wicked ones their ways. Because the Lord said he established a testimony in Jacob and a law in Israel.
Yes, sir.
He gave them everything they needed to go forth and teach the other nations, sisters and brothers. And he told us when we go among these nations, wherever you find yourself, don't serve their gods that's among you.
That's right.
We're going to read that. He said, unto Israel was committed the oracles and the answers of God. He gave Israel the word. Israel was supposed to straighten all this bad doctrine out. Supposed to show the other nations not to serve other gods. But what did we do? The book said we mingled among them. And we even taught them how to serve their gods even greater. Israel probably said, hey, you throw some lights on that thing, it probably look even better. Throw some lights on that tree. Sisters and brothers, and because of this, the book says in Psalm 78 chapter, because we forsook the words of the Lord, he scatters among these other nations to be servants. He even asked you, he said, is my wife a homeborn slave? Was she brought forth to serve?
Right.
Was she created to serve? Look at all the different nations the Lord scatters and how many different nations we serve, sisters and brothers. And he tells you in Deuteronomy 4th chapter, we are a nation of priests. But the priests are serving. The priests are the ones that got Israel in trouble. The Lord said, both the priests and the prophets are both profane, said the Lord. He said he looked for righteousness and he behold it cried. The priests and the prophets of reason, sisters and brothers, Israel got scattered to all the different nations. I tell everybody, if anybody should have stayed with the Lord, Levi and Judah should have stayed with the Lord. The priests and the lawgivers.
Right.
He said, I pleaded with your mother to stay. And she wouldn't stay. Then he said, a treacherous sister Judah departed also.
She was worse.
She was even worse. So, sister and brothers, we're going to get right on into this. If you got a pen and paper and you can't keep up, write these things down because we're going to deal with a lot of facts today. We're going to deal with some things that might hurt a couple of people. You're going to do some reflections of how did I even do these things in the name of the Lord.
Right.
Because everything that we're going to talk about, people do this in the name of the Lord, sisters and brothers. You know, I wasn't going to put this in, Brother Mark. But let's go read. Let's start off in Matthew 15 and 9.
Sure.
Because we got to throw this in. I was going to quote this, but I'd rather throw it in. I'd rather read it so you understand. Matthew 15 and 9. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I always jump ahead of myself. I'd be so anxious to go. Today's lesson, sisters and brothers, is flee idolatry and witchcraft. Flee idolatry and witchcraft. And the reason I put together this lesson, sisters and brothers, because of this holiday that's coming upon us called Halloween, All on Satan's Day, Day of the Souls, all wrapped up in one. And you know, on October 31st, the nation is going to be steeped in that. People will come to your house knocking on your door, demanding candy. And the reason I say demanding because that was a ritual back then. They didn't ask, they demanded candy. And you didn't get them candy, they did a certain thing. We're going to read that through history. Just like on Christmas. They used to, the worst people in the neighborhood used to go to the houses and demand gifts and become lord of mischief. Rulers of the city. They make whoever was the worst criminal in the city the lord of the city. And they crown him lord of mischief. Same thing with Easter, sisters and brothers. So we're going to read these things.
Yes, sir.
Matthew 15 and 9, Brother Marcus. When you get there, read.
But in vain they do worship me.
In vain they do what?
Worship me.
Sisters and brothers, Solomon said it best. Vanity, vanity. All is vanity, said the preacher. Anything that is not written in this book that you worship in the name of the Lord is vanity.
Okay. Yes, sir.
He said, all your idols have made you vain. Your idols have made you vain. He said, they don't profit you nothing. He said, don't let no man spoil you through
That's right.
vanity and philosophy.
Philosophy and
And the rudiments of this world.
That's right.
And this is what's going on, sisters and brothers. You got these preachers standing where I'm standing right now telling you on October 31st the church is going to have a Halloween party. How you going to incorporate God in Halloween? And Halloween is the Day of the Dead, and the Lord said, I'm not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. He told you he was the God of the living and not the dead. Finish reading that, brother. In vain they do worship me doing what?
Teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Go ahead.
That's
it.
That's verse 9.
Teaching for doctrine the commandments of men, sisters and brothers. Through this doctrine, they make the word of God a non effect. Through their traditions. Through their traditions, they make the word of God a non effect, sisters and brothers. It's a tradition to go to church on Sunday. It's a commandment to hold a holy convocation on the 7th day of the week, on the Sabbath day. Because of their tradition to go to church on Sunday, they made the Sabbath day a non-effect. Telling you the Lord don't know what he's doing. Well, he didn't name no other day but the 7th day of the week, sisters and brothers. Let's go to Exodus 20 and 1. We read this, but we're going to touch on some things in Exodus 20 and 1. I always tell people you can never get enough of reading the commandments. Because the Lord said if Israel had just kept the laws and let the land have us Sabbath days, he would let it remain in the land.
Yep.
We won't even let the land have a rest. He said, so the land going to spew you out. But if you keep these commandments, the Lord said he'd be a little sanctuary to you, sisters and brothers. He'll be a little sanctuary to you, even in bad times. And we're going to show this in Exodus 20th chapter, verse 1. Exodus 20 and 1. Go ahead, Brother Marcus.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God.
Sisters and brothers, first off, Paul say, he tells you that we are married to the Lord. That we are joined to the Lord. So as a good husband does, your husband is introducing himself to his wife. He said, I'm the Lord your God. Go ahead.
Which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
I brought you out the projects, out of the house of bondage. The Lord tell you, it's me, baby. I did these things. I took you from out of Egypt. You know what? You know how when a man meet a wife and he take out a bad situation, he always bring it up. Hey, baby, I brought you out that, I brought you out that bad situation. It's me. Go ahead.
Out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
So when I come in my house, it shouldn't be no other man in my house. It shouldn't be no picture of no other man on my wall.
Right.
Talking about picture of the man in the back of the car, Dagon, talking about what would Jesus do. Jesus wouldn't ride through Jerusalem with a fish on the back of his chariot. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
And we're going to show you all these idols have been hand carved by somebody. It's either the likeness of things in heaven, the sun, the moon, the stars, the fish in the sea, Dagon, the fowls in the air, they worship cattle. In India, they worship cows. We're going to read all these things. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5, thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them.
When you set that Christmas tree up, sister and brother, you put the gifts under that tree, what you think you're doing? You bowing down to the image of that tree. And somehow you set it up in your living room. The room in your house is supposed to give you life. You put it in your living room. That never puzzles to amaze me. Then your God render judgment on you, burn the house down, and kill everybody inside because you put them lights on a dead tree. I see it every Christmas. House burned down. They had all these lights on the house, killed everybody inside. Your God just render judgment on you. Go ahead and read.
For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
So how do you obtain the mercy of the Lord?
That's right.
He said, if you love me, do what?
Keep my commandments.
That's how you obtain that mercy, sisters and brothers, by keeping the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. These people out here that's running rapid in the streets, that's not keeping his commandments, look what's happening to them. Proverbs, the 4th chapter, tells you that. The law was for length of days, peace, and long life shall they add unto thee. He tell you don't forsake his law. He said, he starts it out saying, my son, forget not my law. It's for long life, length of days, and peace. Is there any peace in the streets, sisters and brothers? No. Why is there no peace, Brother Marcus? Because they're not doing what?
They're not keeping the commandments.
They're not keeping the commandments. So he said he showed mercy on thousands of them to love him and keep his commandments. Don't forsake the mercy of the Lord. Let's go to Jonah, the 2nd chapter. Jonah 2:8. Don't forsake the mercy of the Lord. Let's show you how you can forsake his mercy, sisters and brothers. Because I thank God that he brought me out of that.
Yes, sir.
Because I was going down a treacherous road, serving all those things in the name of God. And he said he's a jealous God. And people were wondering why it was going on. Got your sons and daughters dressed up like witches.
Yes, sir.
And devils. How you as a Christian gonna dress your son up like a devil? Isn't that contrary?
Yes, sir.
Something inside yourself to say self. I'm a servant of God, and I got my baby in his house with a devil outfit on. Then you wonder why your son turned out to be a little Chucky. Running around terrorizing the house. Grow up and now you scared of your own child. Well, you planted that seed. Had him every Halloween as a devil. Jonah 2:8, brother. Jonah 2:8. Go ahead.
They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy.
Woo! They that observe lying vanities do what?
Forsake their own mercy.
So he said he showed mercy on thousands and the love and keep his commandments. But if you trusted in these lying vanities, you done threw your mercy out the window. You forsook your mercy.
Right.
And you start trusting in them vanities that don't profit nothing. Go ahead and finish that up.
But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving.
Yes.
I will pay that I have vowed.
Yes.
Salvation is of the Lord.
Salvation is who?
Of the Lord.
So it ain't other vanities. Look at the story with Elijah and Dagon. He said, pray to him. See if he can hear you. See if he can deliver you. They was praying to him. They said, hey, maybe he on a little journey. Maybe he on vacation.
Maybe he sleep.
Maybe he sleep. Huh? Pray a little louder. Maybe he on a little journey. And could he deliver?
No, sir.
Last I checked, he was bowed down before the ark when they came in, right? The Lord had cut him into pieces. You can't trust in those things. You built this. How you gonna build this Buddha doll and then fall down and worship him? And you built him.
Right.
Your God weak, he can't even make himself. Jeremiah 2:11, brother. You know what? It's just the things we do in the name of the Lord, Brother Marcus.
Yes, sir.
And I look at it on TV, and the people don't even understand. The book say through feigned words, they make merchandise of you.
Right.
All you are merchandise to these people. You know how much money they make during Christmas? They base the whole economy off of Christmas for the whole next year.
Right.
If it's a bad Christmas, they know the rest of the year going to be bad. Because they know the people ain't got no money to buy nothing. This is going to be a rough year.
True.
You merchandise to them. Even to the pastors he's talking about. You merchandise to that preacher. You tell your pastor you ain't paying him no more, boy, you be sitting there by yourself. Because he ain't going to show up.
Right.
What pastor? Well, you know, we had to cut his salary. Jeremiah 2:11, brother, go ahead.
Hath a nation changed their gods?
Yes.
Which are yet no gods.
He said, has a nation. He's talking about Israel.
Right.
He said, the rest of those nations still serve their God. Ishmael still serve their God. Ethiopia still serve their gods. He said, have a nation change their God, which is no gods? Go ahead.
But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit.
Which don't profit nothing. Go ahead.
Be astonished,
Yes.
O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid.
Go ahead.
Be ye very desolate, saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
For my people have committed two evils.
What did they do, brother?
They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns, that can hold no water.
Sisters and brothers, we forsook the God that brought us out of Egypt. And we started worshiping gods that don't profit us nothing. Gods that can't even, do you know the God of the Bible is the only God that teaches you that you're going to be just like him? That's willing to make you just like him. When you read the Quran, Allah don't tell you nothing like that. No. That you're going to be just like him. No. You read any of those other books, them guys don't promise you salvation. No. But we forsook the only God that's able to save, sisters and brothers, and we have hewed ourselves out cisterns that hold no water. What is a vessel that holds no water profit? What is it good for?
Nothing.
That's like you live over in Africa and the only well is 20 miles away. And you go down to the well and you want to carry water back to the house with a vase that got a crack in it. And by the time you get back to the house, the vase is empty. What did that whole trip profit you?
Nothing.
Same thing with serving these pagan gods. What is it going to profit you, sister and brother?
Absolutely.
Let's read the definition of what idolatry is, brother.
Yes, sir.
Marcus. But Pat, can you put that definition of idolatry on the screen if you get a chance? Because I want you to understand what idolatry is. Because some people think idolatry is just serving graven images or something like that. If you can't put it up there, that's okay, Patrick. Work on the next one. Read the definition of idolatry, Brother Marcus.
Idolatry, noun, the worship of a physical object as a god.
As a god. The worship of a physical object as a god. If you love your car too much, and you washing your car on the Sabbath day, your car might become a god to you. That's idolatry. Anything that you put over God or the creation and you start worshiping it is a god. It's idolatry. You can make yourself a god. You can love yourself more than God of creation and serve yourself more than you serve him. That's idolatry. You have made yourself an idol. Sisters and brothers, and he tells us to flee that, Brother Marcus.
Yes, sir.
Flee idolatry and youthful lust. Let's go to Leviticus 26:1. Let's let the book tell us what idolatry is. Because sisters and brothers, we do a lot of serving of idols and we don't even know it. A lot of things that we have we got from other nations. And we dealt with that last year. We dealt with that last week with Brother Julius. And we dealt with that last year when I did the Christmas lesson. We did real deep into Christmas. And we debunked the whole Christmas. And last week we showed you where the book says Gentiles sacrifice unto devils. And we ran down the beast, the 4 beasts in Daniel. And we showed you that the 4 beasts, which is the Roman beast, took on all the power of the other 3 beasts, but he brought in something else. He hurt you spiritually and physically.
Teach.
He brought in bad doctrine. The book says he thought to change times and laws.
Yeah, he did.
See, all these other beasts, Christmas and all that was tradition. But when it came to the Roman beast, he made a law. Worshiping on Sunday was tradition through the first 3 beasts. When a Roman beast came in, he made a law. He forced you to worship on Sunday. See, Christmas came through ancient Babylon. When it came down to the Roman beast, he forced it on you. Sun worship came through Babylon. When it came down to the Roman beast, he forced it on you. Because he exercised the power of the first 3 beasts. But he came in and he killed you spiritually. All bad doctrine leads back to Rome. And we're going to show you today, most of this was brought in by the popes. The popes made these laws. Let's go to Leviticus 26:1. Brother Mark, Leviticus 26:1. You get a chance, go ahead and read.
You shall make you no idols, no graven image. Neither rear you up a standing image.
Yes.
Neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it. For I am the Lord your God.
Go ahead.
You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord.
Keep going.
If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them,
yes, what would he do?
Then I will give you rain in due season.
Yes.
And the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield her fruit.
I wonder why we not in our land. I wonder why we not in our land and we're in our strangers' land. In Ezekiel the 28th chapter, Deuteronomy 28th chapter, he told you he was going to send you to other nations where you're going to serve other gods. Gods neither you or your father have known, gods of wood and stone, because you didn't want to serve the Lord thy God with gladness. Because you didn't want to serve him, He scattered you. Where he said you're going to serve all these other gods.
Right.
Gods of wood and stone, where you or your fathers had never known these gods. We never knew the God of Christmas. We never knew the God of Easter. We never knew this God behind Halloween. Skip on down to verse 6, brother. Go ahead.
And I will give peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will rid evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land. And you shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword.
It seems like our enemies are chasing us now.
That's right.
He said, if you had done and kept his commandments, you'd be chasing your enemies. Right. And nothing was going to happen to you. And I give you peace. You can't even go down the street and get pulled up by police hoping that you don't get shot.
Right.
In your own community.
Right.
And the person that might shoot you might look like you. That's the bad thing about it. Sisters and brothers, we scared in our own communities because we're not keeping the Lord's commandments. Skip on down to verse 9. Go ahead, brother.
For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you.
He said, I will have respect unto you. We're going to show you when we get to this lesson, sisters and brothers. The Lord said, I will not be questioned by you. I don't even got no respect for you. I will not be questioned by you, Israel. See, the Lord tried to keep us as a people. The Song of Solomon, he said he tried. But he said he couldn't, because she didn't want to be kept. You know, Project Pat said it best. Project Pat said, don't save her, but she don't want to be saved. He said he tried to save his wife, did he not? The Lord said he tried to save his wife. But he said his wife didn't want to be saved.
Right.
He tried his best to save his wife, sisters and brothers, but she didn't want to be saved. He even said, hey, I've been made to keep her other vineyards when my vineyards gone unkept.
Right.
Look at the other nations. They being kept. Right. Every promise he made to the other nations, they still had that promise. He said the Gentiles was going to be in power till he came back.
That's
Are
right.
they still not in power?
They are.
He said Ishmael was going to be very rich in land, oil, and gold and stuff. Are they still rich in land, oil, gold and stuff?
Yes, sir.
He kept his promise with all them other nations, which was not his.
That's right.
But he said he couldn't keep this nation. Skip on down to verse 11. Go ahead, brother.
And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that you should not be their bondmen. And I have broken the bands of your yoke,
Yes.
and made you go upright.
That's right. Skip on down to verse 15.
And if you shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that you will not do all my commandments, but that you break my covenant, I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption,
Yes.
and the burning ague.
That's the curses, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
That shall consume the eyes, and cause sorrow of heart. And you shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it.
Woo, go ahead.
And I will set my face against you, and you shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and you shall flee when none pursueth you. And if you will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you 7 times more for your sins.
That's right. Because the Lord told you, only you have I known Israel out of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. The Lord said he knew you by name. He called you by his name.
That's right.
His name is Israel. He gave you his name, and you forsook him. Skip on down to verse 20. Let's see what else is going to happen. Go ahead.
Then I will walk contrary unto you also in fury.
He said he's going to do what?
Walk contrary unto
He
you.
going to walk against you?
Yes, right.
Oh, man, go ahead.
And I, even I, will chastise you 7 times for your sin.
Go ahead.
And you shall eat the flesh of your sons.
Wait, he said if you don't hearken to me, this is what's going to turn out and happen to you. You're going to eat the flesh of your sons, and go ahead.
And the flesh of your daughters.
We're going to show
you
you in this lesson we did that.
Shame.
We ate the flesh of our sons and daughters. Go ahead.
And I will destroy your high places, and cut down your images, and cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols, and my soul shall abhor you. And I will make your cities waste, and bring your sanctuaries unto desolation. and I will not smell the savor of your sweet odors. And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it. And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste.
Sisters and brothers, where are we scattered at?
Everywhere.
Among the different nations, right? And the Lord said he was going to do this. He said, because you refuse to keep my laws and statutes, and you start worshiping idols, and you hewed yourself out cisterns and held no water at all, and you forsook me and forsook my words, laws, and commandments, then you're going to start eating your sons and daughters. Let's go to Deuteronomy 6:1. And the Lord said he's going to scatter you among these nations. But when Israel came out of Egypt, and he gave them the land, he gave them a straight in the land, he told them when they go in this land, don't do as the heathens do in that land.
That's right.
Don't do as the nations round about you. Well, let's see if Israel hearkened. See, this is why we got scattered. Deuteronomy 6:1, brother. Deuteronomy 6:1. When you get there, read Deuteronomy 6:1.
Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go to possess it.
He said, hey, these are the laws and statutes that I'm going to teach you so you know how to behave when you go in this land that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a land from among the strangers. He took somebody else's land, sisters and brothers, and gave it to us.
True.
Go ahead.
Verse 2, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord God of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey.
That's right. Skip on down to verse 7. And what should you do when I give you these words? Skip down to verse 7, Brother Marcus. Go ahead.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So you're supposed to be teaching your children the real statutes of the Lord. But somehow these folks is teaching their children contrary to the statutes of the Lord.
Make it plain, brother.
They're going to be teaching their children how to dress up like a ghost, a goblin.
Right?
Anything. Boys going to be dressing like girls. Girls be dressing like boys. All these abominations that the Lord said were abominable to him. Skip on down to verse 9. We was at, yes, 9, right? Go ahead, brother. We should be at 11.
Verse 10.
Yes, read verse 10, brother. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I gotta
sir.
get my highlighter here. Go ahead.
It's all right. And it shall be, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells digged which thou diggest not.
So the land he gave us, we just walked in and inhabited.
Just took it
Everything's
over.
prepared for us already.
Yep.
We just took it. He says you ain't even got to dig no wells when you get there. It's already done for you.
Right.
You ain't even got to build no houses. It's already prepared for you. He gave, this is why he talks about that wine press that he put in the middle of this city. He said it had the best grapes, had a wine press in the midst thereof. He said this, it was everything that these people got was already prepared for them.
Right.
Go ahead.
Vineyards and olive trees, which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full. Then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods, of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth.
Go ahead.
You shall not tempt the Lord your God as you tempted him in Massah.
You know, when you serving other gods, you tempting the Lord. You making him angry.
Yes, sir.
He said, you provoke me to anger with these other gods. You know, the Lord talked about, that's why I was telling you Ezekiel, Exodus 20th chapter, how the Lord introduced himself to his wife. You know, everybody in this room could probably say they're a jealous husband. I mean, you don't want to come home and see your wife kicked up on the couch with the other guy. I mean, I be riding the car with my wife and somebody called on the telephone, I turn the radio down just a little bit. I be secretly eavesdropping. When she say, girl, you know what I'm saying, I turn the radio back up, okay? You know, it's just out of habit. But that's how the Lord said he's a jealous God. And you provoked him to anger with these other guys which are no gods. Go ahead and read, brother.
17. You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimony, and his statutes,
yes,
which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers.
That's right, which he sware unto your fathers to give to your fathers. Exodus 23 and 20. Exodus 23 and 20. Exodus 23 and 20. So he's going to tell you he sent an angel before you. And the angel commanded you by the word of the Lord. When you go into this land, don't serve these other gods. And we're going to serve you this. And we're going to see if Israel kept the commandments of the Lord. Exodus 23 and 20. Go ahead, brother.
Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice.
Yes.
Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgression.
Because what?
For my name is in him.
The angel comes in the name of the Lord, sisters and brothers. And the words that he's speaking are the words that Jesus got from the Father. So he's speaking the word of the Lord. And he said he's not going to pardon your transgression because it ain't in him to do it. He's commanded by the Lord to do something. And he ain't going to just give you leisure because you made an error. He's going to execute judgment.
That's right.
Because the Lord told you, in their affliction, I was afflicted. And in my mercy did I save them. He said, but you turn around and you vex my Holy Spirit. And he became your enemy. And he fought against you.
Yeah, he did.
See, the angel of the Lord could be your friend, or he could be your enemy. Same thing with the Lord. He could be your friendly, or he could be an adversary. The book tells you he could be an adversary.
That's right.
You don't want the Lord to be your adversary, sister.
No, sir.
By provoking him with these pagan gods. Go ahead, finish reading that, brother.
22.
Yes.
But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak,
yes,
then I will be an enemy unto thine enemy and an adversary unto thine adversaries.
Go ahead.
For mine angel shall go before thee and bring thee in unto the Amorites and the Hittites
yes,
and the Perizzites
yes,
and the Canaanites.
What land did he give us? The land of who?
Canaan.
The land of Canaan, right?
Yes, sir.
So he said when he bring you to these nations, he'll be your friend. Go ahead.
The Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off.
Yes.
Thou shalt not bow down to their gods.
Or do what?
Nor serve them. Nor do after their works. But thou shalt utterly overthrow them.
Yes.
And quite break down their images.
Sisters and brothers, he said when you go into this land I give you, especially this land of Canaan, when you go into this land, don't turn around and start serving their God. He said you cast down their altars. Break their images. You're supposed to go in and teach them. Well, let's see what Israel did, Brother Marcus. Judges 2 and 1. Let's see what Israel did in the days of Joshua.
Okay.
Judges 2 and 1. Because now the Lord gave them this commandment. He told them what's going to happen when you go into this land. Now let's see if Israel took the Lord serious. Let's see if they hearkened unto him. Like he said, hearken diligently unto me.
Right.
Boy, Moses said it best. Boy, this is a stiff-necked people. A people whose hearts are not set aright, he said. Amen. The Lord said it too. He said if Israel only had a heart, that they would serve and obey me. If it was just in them. You see it all the time. Even with your kids at home, you can tell your kids to do one thing, and 5 minutes later they're doing something totally different. You know, they just stiff-necked.
Truth.
I mean, I'm telling my kids, don't go jumping on the bed. 3 minutes later, I just go peep in the room. They doing exactly what I told them not to do. It just, sisters and brothers, I just tell you, the Lord Well, Moses got so fed up with these people, Moses told the Lord, he said, did I birth these kids? I mean, you put me on with people like that came out of my womb. He said, man, because he was getting vexed. Because the Lord was holding him accountable for all what the people was doing. He said, my father to all these? Man. Woo. I don't know if I could have been back there, Brother Marcus. Because the book talking about Moses was the meekest man on the earth. Right. I probably had to pull out my belt and whip a couple of them. Because, boy, Israel, they run over you, sister, brother. I see just being the pastor of this church. Boy, you give Israel an inch, they'll take a mile. Woo. All right, let's get back to the lesson. Judges 2:1, go ahead.
And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochum and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers.
What did he say?
And I said, I will never break my covenant with you.
Did we just get to read this?
Right.
Go ahead.
And you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. Oh. Why have you done this?
He said, why have you done this? He said, I just told you. Don't go into the land and make a league with the inhabitants of the land. Skip on down to verse 11. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and served Baal.
Go ahead.
And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger.
Go ahead.
And they forsook the Lord, and served Baal and Ashtaroth. And the anger...
They forsook the Lord and started serving the sun gods. The God of Easter.
True.
The queen of heaven. They started baking cakes to her.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers.
He delivered to who?
The hands of spoilers.
He put them in captivity, right?
Yes, sir.
He delivered them. He said he'll be their friend or he'll be their enemy. He said, and if you hearken diligently to me, you'll be fighting against your enemies. But now he delivered them into the hand of their enemy. Go ahead.
And the spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hand of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
Go ahead. Is that
That was it, 14. Yep.
Let's go to Jeremiah 10:1. So he said, don't do the things that they do.
That's right.
Don't worship their images and their idols that's round about them. He said, but they didn't listen. They forsook his word. They started serving Baal, Asherah, all these other different gods, Horus.
Right.
all these,
the
list goes on and on, sisters and brothers. And when you look at all the names of different gods, it all goes back to Baal, Asherah. It all goes back to them. Tammuz goes back to Baal. Goes back to ancient Babylon, through Nimrod. Sun worship at the best. Christmas, linked to Tammuz. He was born on December 25th. The Trinity, linked to Semiramis, Tammuz, and Nimrod. They say that Nimrod was God the Father. He was reincarnated into Tammuz, so he was God the Son.
What?
Semiramis sat on the throne and she ruled with Nimrod, so she was the Holy Spirit. Do your research on it. It was God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, because she ruled with Tammuz, which happened, she said, was her husband that's reincarnated through her son. That's why he's so-called the Son of God.
Right.
The S-U-N of God,
right.
Not the S-O-N.
Right.
Look it up, sisters and brothers. Hence, sun worship was born, and in this document I got, hence the Trinity came forth. All roads lead back to Babylon, brothers and sisters. Finish that up. Let's go to Jeremiah 10:1. Jeremiah 10:1. Go ahead.
Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord. Learn not the way of the heathen.
Don't do what?
Learn not the way of the heathen.
Don't learn the way of the heathens. Go ahead.
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
And heathens are not somebody who don't believe in God, sister, brother. Heathens are other nations. People say, I go to church all the time. You ain't no Christian. You a heathen.
Right.
They don't understand what they're saying.
Right.
A heathen is just another nation. The nation around about. I heard a preacher on TV the other day saying, you heathens up in here.
No
I say, you
understanding.
don't even know what you're talking about.
No understanding.
So don't learn the way of other nations round about. Go ahead.
Nor be dismayed at the signs of heaven. For
So
the heathen
let's
are
see what how heathens are dismayed at the signs of heaven, Brother Marcus. Go ahead.
For the customs of the people are vain.
The cousin people are what?
Vain.
Pure vanity. Go ahead.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
Now he put that in to show you that you cut it out. You had to get out of labor and cut that thing out. It ain't like the tree just popped up in your living room. You was out there cutting and sawing and sawing and sawing, and you did what?
They deck it with silver and with gold.
You made this God look good. Somehow the image of Satan, because when I read in Ezekiel 28 chapter, Satan had all these same precious stones that Christmas tree is arrayed with. It got
Yes,
the emerald. It got the beryl. Got all these precious stones. Then it even got a crown on his head, which is Moloch or Rephaim, whichever one you choose.
Teach, bro.
And I don't know if you remember that tree back in the day. Oh, you got to go way back in the day, like in the 60s. If your grandma had that old ornament on top of that tree that had the curved arm with the lines going through it that represented the fallen star. You got to go way back, though. My grandma had it. She had a 5-point star, and it had, on one of the arms, it had 2 lines going through, and the arm was curved. It represented the fallen star. But you put that on top of your God. Go ahead.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree.
Yes.
But speak not.
Yes.
They must needs be born.
They got to be carried around. You got to carry your God and put him in the living room and fasten him down so he don't tumble over.
Right.
Then he wind up in the alley after Christmas is over. You done threw your God in the garbage can. Boy, I see how Israel didn't throw anything away, boy. You just said that was your God, though. Now you just threw him in the alley.
Right.
Go ahead.
Because they cannot go.
They can't go.
Be not afraid of them.
Yes.
For they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
So that's why the Lord calls it vanity. Because they can't do you no evil, or they can't do you no good. But if you worship him, they definitely going to bring some evil to you.
Right.
And your whole household. Let's go read, and let's see who Baal is. The Lord say that they forsook him.
Jeremiah 19 first or no?
Oh, yeah, Jeremiah 19. Marcus might as well teach. He keeping on track better than me. I just want to skip and get to the good stuff. Because when you see how nasty some of these things that we celebrated is, sisters and brothers, you'd be like, I did what? Man, that was crazy.
Right.
But when you know better, you do better, right?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Jeremiah 19:1. Go ahead, brother.
Thus saith the Lord, go and get a potter's earthen bottle, and take of the ancients of the people, and of the ancients of the priests, and go forth unto the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the east gate, and proclaim there the words that I shall tell thee.
Go ahead.
And say, hear ye the word of the Lord, O kings of Judah, and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever heareth, his ears shall tingle.
Why?
Because they have forsaken me, and have estranged this place, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents.
Woo, we're going to talk about that blood of innocence. How this was the blood of the children that they would sacrifice.
Oh, man.
Oh, you say it ain't so, Brother Will. We're going to read it. Go ahead. Keep reading.
They have built also the high places of Baal.
To do what?
To burn their sons with fire.
What?
Yes.
They built high places that was attributed to Baal, and they put their sons and daughters on altars to burn them?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
For burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that this place shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter.
They were down in Tophet and Hinnom, sacrificing their daughters and sons, burning them in the fire. He said, you caused your kids to pass through the fire, burning them and sacrificing them to these other gods.
Wow.
Which I commanded you not to. Let's go see who this Baal is. Read the history on who Baal is, so people get some understanding.
Yes, sir.
In ignorance they do worship me, teach them for doctrine. commandments of men, making the word of God non-effective, their traditions.
Right.
Go ahead, brother. Who's this Baal?
Baal, or Baal, was a title and honorific meaning owner or lord. In the Northwest Semitic languages spoken in the Levant during antiquity. From its use among people, it came to be applied to gods. Scholars previously associated the theonym with solar cults and with a variety of unrelated patron deities, but inscriptions have shown that the name Baal was particularly associated with the storm and fertility god Hadad and his local manifestations.
She was a fertility god. You know what Easter is?
Mm-hmm.
You know rabbits don't lay eggs?
All right.
Huh? Did anybody know rabbits don't lay eggs?
That's right.
Do you know where the Easter egg hunt really came from? Do you know where it came from, Brother Marcus?
Yes, sir.
Easter egg hunt was when they used to take their wives into the church and let their wives wander off. And whoever caught their wife was able to lay with their wife.
Temple prostitution.
Temple prostitution.
That's right.
And then the bunny had eggs because those are the children that were born after Easter by some strange man. After they called them and had whatever they were doing with your wife. They prostituted their wives and their daughters. In the church, mind you.
Right.
In the church. Because Easter egg hunt started in the church. It ain't something the street folks was doing. It was the church people. So that's why she's called the goddess of fertility. Okay. Go ahead and finish reading that up.
The Hebrew Bible includes use of the term in reference to various Levantine deities, often with application towards Hadad, who was decried as a false god. That use was taken over into Christianity and Islam, sometimes under the form Beelzebub in demonology.
Is something else I got highlighted at the bottom?
Just one more sentence.
Go ahead, read that. Skip on down and read that one more sentence.
The Ugaritic god Baal is the protagonist of one of the lengthiest surviving epics from the ancient Near East, the Baal cycle.
Now skip on down, scroll down, Patrick, and let's read these different symbols. Scroll back up, scroll back up, scroll back up, right there. What's the symbols of Baal?
Bull, ram, thunderbolt.
Bull, ram, thunderbird. Let's go down to the genealogy and see who her parents are. Go down to the genealogy. Who's her parents?
I don't have that one.
You got it right here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Who's her parents?
Parents. Dagon.
Oh, we're getting somewhere. She is a descendant of Dagon, ancient Babylon.
Right.
So all these things come through the Babylonian Empire. She come from Dagon. Mm-hmm. Wow. You learn something when you do some research, sisters and brothers. So Baal is a product of Dagon. That's why I told you, all these are the same God. Mm-hmm. All the same God, sisters and brothers. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18. I had a misprint there. It's 18.
18.
18 and 9. When you get a chance, finish reading the rest of that. For the sake of time, we can't read the other 3 pages, but it's going to give you some interesting facts. It's going to talk about Easter, sun worship, the sun gods that attributed with Baal. I just wanted to show you that she was the goddess of fertility. Mm-hmm. So that's another pagan worship, Easter. So we already picked up Christmas and Easter, right? Mm-hmm. So sisters and brothers, this is a quick lesson. You know, I break down and really deep in Christmas, during my Christmas lesson, which will be coming up next month. We really break down Baal and Asherah and all those other pagan gods, but we can't deal with that because we'd be here all day. Mm-hmm. So I'm just touching on some of the different items that we worship there from the nations round about. We worship Christmas. We worship Easter. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18 and 9. Mm-hmm. Deuteronomy 18 and 9, Brother Marcus. Go ahead when you get a chance, read.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
What did he tell you?
Thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations.
He keeps saying this over and over again, doesn't he?
Yes, sir.
Over and over again. When I give you a land, you know, it's like telling your kids, hey, when I drop you off at school, Don't come and bring the bad habits of kids to school got with you home. Ain't that what you tell your kids? Then you say, where did you learn this from? The Lord's telling you when I drop you off in this land, when I didn't let you roll on up in there, don't come back with no strange doctrine. Because I didn't give it to you.
Right.
You know, I tell my kids that every time when I drop off at school, hey man, I don't want you to come back with nobody's clothes. Because you know, back in the day, you couldn't bring nobody's coat home to mama. You couldn't bring, you know, kids be coming home with everything now. Cell phone, my friend, what? Your friend let you have a $300 cell phone. You know, mom would tell you, you got to get dressed. You got to go back to your friend's house. Because, you know, hey, it don't belong in this house. Same thing the Lord said about this doctrine. Right. It don't belong in this land. Right. This is not the land. This is not the doctrine I've given you. So he said, hey, when you go in this land, don't do as other nations round about. Go ahead.
Verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
We just read that, right?
Yes, sir.
He said, hey, among you should be not anybody that's allowing their sons or daughters, sacrificing them to Baal that's causing them to pass through the fire. Go ahead.
Or that useth divination.
That uses what?
Divination.
Oh, we're going to read about what is divination. That's a word. So I want you to underline that. Divination. Go ahead.
Or an observer of time.
We're going to read about observer of times. Go ahead.
Or an enchanter.
Enchanter. We're going to read about that. Go ahead.
Or a witch.
Or a what?
A witch.
Now you didn't dress your kids up like witches. And the Lord told you when you go, you don't learn these things.
Right.
See, the problem is that our children believe everything that they watch on TV, everything they learn is fantasy. This is programming, sisters and brothers. TV can program you. Bad doctrine is programming. You don't just pop up and learn bad doctrine. It's taught and it becomes tradition. See, the thing is, our children have seemed to disassociate witches and stuff on TVs without being real witches. It's real witches out here.
Yes, sir.
It's a singer right now that wear a top hat that says she's going in the water with $3.06. She proclaims to be a self-witch. She literally says she casts spells on people. It's artists that tell you they are witches. They tell you that they do blood offerings. See, our kids have believed when you talk about witches and goblins and goons that these things are just fake.
Right.
These things are fallen angels. These things are witches are using familiar spirits to gain power. That's what the Lord told you in the last days. They're going to make a statue walk and talk through craft. They're going to use black magic.
What the book say?
To make statues walk and talk. Black magic is real, sisters and brothers. I don't want you to think it's some kind of fantasy. And we're going to show you that. You can use spirits to get powers. We're going to show you that. Go ahead, brother.
Or a charmer.
Charmers. You know what charmers are? We're going to show you a picture of charmers. Charmers are the people that be over in India with those snakes. And they be hypnotizing the snakes, and the two pythons be dancing and stuff like this. That they be kissing each other and all this. Those are charmers. The Lord told you don't charm serpents. Wow. Those are charmers are. Okay. They using magic to hypnotize snakes and serpents. They got two panthers on the TV, they dancing. They be looking so out of it. Now you done hypnotize a snake. Wow. We're going to show you that. Go ahead, brother. Finish reading.
Or a consultant with familiar spirits.
Or
a wizard, or a necromancer.
A wizard, a necromancer. We're going to talk about those who deal with astrology. Tell me, what's my zodiac sign? What's my zodiac sign? I can't date you because I'm Aquarius and you're Libra. You shouldn't be involved with none of that. Right. Folks broke up and got divorces because they signs say they don't match. You done been married to this man 10 years.
Yep.
And you tell him I knew it wasn't going to work because it's saying Aries and a Libra don't go together.
I've heard that.
Go ahead, brother, read.
Verse 12. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee.
What if you take part in these things? What if you don't do them, but you take part of them? You're just as guilty.
That's right.
If I got somebody over here that say they practicing witchcraft and I'm just friends with them, hanging out with them, I'm just as guilty by association. The Lord said, don't make no leagues with him. You got a friend that talk about that she gonna read your
No,
future.
sir, get away from me.
You know what? Back in the day, I was a kid, right? And I called that psychic network because I just thought it was something cool to do. I was like 10 years old, and I called the psychic friends network. And I called. That lady was like, "Hello, how are you?" She say, "What's your name?" I said, "Fake." Hung up. You a psychic? You supposed to know my name. Why you gonna ask me my name and you supposed to be the psychic? Right. I hung up. I said, "Fake." These folks, boy, they just want your money. But some of these people are real. And we're going to show you that. Some of these people are really dealing with them fallen angels. Talking about they're going to read the lines on your hand.
Right.
Tell you if you got long life. I got a whole bunch of lines on my hand. Which one you going to start with?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 13. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee so to do.
Let's get a definition of a divination. Oh, I don't got that. Okay, my fault. Read the definition of divination.
Divination. Now, the art or practice that seeks to foresee or foretell future events or discover hidden knowledge, usually by the interpretation of omens or by the aid of supernatural powers.
Oh, by the aid of supernatural powers like familiar spirits. Let's go to another definition. So somebody that's going to tell you that they're going to, tell you some good fortune, but they're going to use some kind of natural powers or a crystal ball. And they're going to tell you some good fortune about yourself. And I see it all the time, sisters and brothers. Let's go and see what an enchanter is. Those two words. What is enchanter?
Enchanter, noun, one that enchants, especially a sorcerer.
Oh, a sorcerer. How many of y'all heard about sorcery? Mm-hmm. See, y'all thinking y'all watching these shows and movies and cartoons, they doing sorcery, and you don't think it's real because it's just a cartoon or a show. But it's teaching our children. And the Lord told us don't have no inhabitant, don't have no parts with these people. Even I was watching a cartoon with my son, a kid's cartoon, and this dude was casting a complete spell on somebody in the cartoon. And you know what it does? It gets our kids tuned into these things. Mm-hmm. And they think it's some kind of, now they run out the house with superpowers and they in the bed. I come in the room, my son trying to cast a spell on his little brother.
Right.
You over there trying to cast a fake spell on your little brother. But it's teaching our kids to do these things. Now they run around, they talk about, they little wizards got hats on, they walk around little wands in the house. I command you in the name of such and such to stand still.
Right.
I see it all the time. Wait a minute. Your little child over here commanding the plant to die.
Right.
But sisters and brothers, you may think that it's cool, but the Lord he take this real serious.
That's right.
He takes this real serious. And he said, have no parts with these things. Let's see what a necromancy is. Mm-hmm. Necromancy. However you might pronounce that. Mm-hmm. Brother Will he ain't politically correct. One thing he can do is read, though. He might get the word wrong. What is it?
Necromancy.
There we
now,
go.
Conjuration of the spirits of the dead for purposes of magically revealing the future or influencing the course of events.
Ooh, influencing the course of events. You're going to go to the dead to change the outcome of your situation.
Right.
You're going to go to the dead and say, can I live longer?
Right.
Can I do this? Can you bring up my mother? I want to talk to my mom. Let's bring up some people from the dead.
Right.
Let's go to Leviticus 19:31, brother. Mm-hmm. Leviticus 19:31. Let's see what the Lord said pertaining to these people. See, sisters and brothers, you can play the devil until you become the devil. Mm. You don't know you can take on evil spirits?
Man.
Huh? I had a friend. This is serious. I had a friend that used to like to watch those movies with people who had Tourette's syndrome and corporalalia. He used to watch them day in, day and night. Then one day he started developing that. He started busting out, cussing and stuff, and he didn't know it because he was making fun of those people. And he took on that because he watched them without end all day. And he started developing that, sisters and brothers, because it programs you. The thing, you programming yourself to these things. I'm telling you, sisters and brothers, be careful what you do and what you're involved in. Let's go to Leviticus 19:31. Go ahead.
Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards.
Neither seek after what?
Wizards.
Go ahead.
To be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God.
So he said, don't regard them that have familiar spirits. Don't seek after wizards.
No, sir.
Let's go read 2 Samuel 28. Let's go see the first king of Israel. And you know, I did that lesson for you guys, talking to the dead, right? Now, remember in that lesson, I showed you that usually people who go seek people with familiar spirits is because they got some things going on in their life. And they've been praying to God, they haven't got an answer from God. You know, I see it all the time. People are bad on them, they're borderline homeless. They lost their job. They caught on a repo list. They going through some bad things. They've been on their knees praying to the Lord. They felt the Lord ain't answered them. They go see these wizards and stuff and say, man, they say, I just need to talk to my grandma. I just need to talk to my mama. If I could just talk to my mama, everything would be better. So they get on their knees and they be praying to their mama. Oh, mama, I just want to hear a word from you.
Right.
How many times you seen this? How many times you see these people in bad situations talking they just want to talk to their mama? They on Facebook, I just need to hear from my mama. Right. Mama, where you at, mama? I need you.
Mama dead.
All the time, right? All the time. They be at the cemetery, mama. Things ain't going good for me. Ecclesiastes 9 say the dead have no memory. They have no work, no knowledge. In the grave where they going.
No, not anything.
In that same day, their thoughts have perished. You can go to the cemetery and talk to your mama all you want to. She can't hear you.
That's right.
And if your mama's in heaven, why are you at the cemetery talking to her? Is that like a Bluetooth zone or something? That way you pair up? If your mama in heaven, you can talk to her anywhere in the world. You don't got to go to the cemetery. You know why you go to the cemetery? Because that's the last physical place you saw your mama go. So you know she's there. You know she's in that box in the grave. But when you're in a bad situation, your mind has the ability to create false hope, false realities. And this is what's happened to Saul. Now, let's see what happened with Saul, first king of Israel. 2 Samuel 28:3.
1 Samuel.
1 Samuel, I'm sorry, 28:3. Yeah, 1 Samuel 28:3. I don't know how I put second in that. See, that's why it's good to have another teacher up here with you.
Stop.
1 Samuel. I can leave him this paper. He can finish the lesson. I'll go on back and sit with y'all. 28:3. Go ahead.
Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits.
Saul had did what?
Put away those.
He put them out the land, because the Lord commanded him to.
That's
put them
right.
all out the land and have familiar spirits. Go ahead.
And the wizards out of the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together, and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid.
Yeah, he was scared, because the Spirit of God had departed off of Saul. And the evil spirit troubled him. See, when the Spirit of God was with Saul, he was fighting and winning. The Lord took that spirit away. Now he brought fear in. Go ahead. So he was scared, brother.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
And his heart greatly trembled.
Uh-huh.
And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not.
Now, didn't the Lord tell, when Samuel was praying for Saul, didn't the Lord tell Samuel, stop praying to me about Saul, saying I rejected him, I'm done with him. I'm not even going to answer his prayers no more. Go ahead. So that's what I'm telling you. When people are seeking the Lord and they ain't getting no answer like they want, then they start turning to other options.
Right.
They start talking to their dead loved ones or going to these little frame houses that's made out only wood, only like they can't afford no brick. Go ahead.
Right. Neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit.
Woo, go ahead.
That I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night, and he said, I pray thee, divine unto me.
We just read divination, right?
Yes.
Divine unto me by these fallen angels. Go ahead.
By the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee.
Go ahead.
And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest that what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life?
Now this is where Saul really had lost his mind. In verse 10, he lost his mind. He did something that was outrageous. What did he do?
To cause me to die. And Saul swore to her by the Lord.
He promised her by the name of the Lord against the Lord's commandments. What did he say? I promise you by the name of the Lord what?
Saying, as the Lord liveth,
Woo!
there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing.
That, you really done gone south when you promise by the name of the Lord that ain't nothing gonna happen to you.
True.
Boy, go ahead.
Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul.
Ooh. She said, Why you didn't get me in trouble? You knew this, Saul. You commanded them to be thrown out the land. Why you deceived me? Go ahead.
Excuse me. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel.
Saul perceived it was who?
Samuel.
Because that's what he wanted to do. That's what I told you. Your mind got the ability to create false realities.
Mind playing tricks on
Now,
me.
it was never Samuel. But he wanted it to be Samuel. So those familiar spirits gave him exactly what he wanted. Go ahead.
And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself.
And what?
And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me?
Well, you know the crazy thing about it? Even the evil angels know when God is through with you. He said, why you searching for me? Go ahead, seeing what?
To bring me up. And Saul answered, I am sore distressed. For the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more. Neither by prophets, nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me?
Why you asking me what?
Saying, The Lord is departed from thee.
Hey, if the Lord is done with you, then why you asking me? I'm supposed to be a prophet of the Lord. That don't make no sense, right? Go ahead. But we know this wasn't Samuel. Go ahead.
And it's become thine enemy.
Woo! Boy, you hear what that said? He departed of you. Now he become your enemy. Oh, that's a scary. We read that earlier, right? He could be your friend, but if you start doing things contrary to him, he'd be your enemy.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David.
Wait, how are you going to take the kingdom out of his hand? He's still alive. Huh? That must mean something going to happen here. He done took it out of your hand. He done rent it. Go ahead.
18. Because thou obeyedest not the voice of the Lord, nor executed his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines.
He said, with thee.
Right.
You too.
Right.
Don't be delivered into the hand of the Philistines. Go ahead.
And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me.
Woo.
The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines.
And what happened?
Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was sore afraid, because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day.
So we got to read the rest, sisters and brothers. Later on, Saul died. In battle, he got so scared, he fell on his own sword. He commanded his soldiers then to kill him.
Right.
Thrust me through. Thrust me through. That's how that feel, boy. I'm telling you. Let's go to 1 Chronicles 10 and 13. But he died, sisters and brothers. And we're going to show you why he died.
Yes, sir.
1 Chronicles 10 and 13. So you can play with this if you want to. The Lord don't play at all with this. And he tell you all over the book, he don't play with this. There's one thing he not going to play with. Serving other gods and doing witchcraft and All this stuff. He's against this. 1 Chronicles 10:13. Go ahead, brother, when you get there.
So Saul died for his transgression which he committed against the Lord,
But why?
even against the word of the Lord which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit.
So he died because him sinning against God, and also because he went and questioned somebody who had a familiar spirit. That's why he died, sisters and brothers. He did them things the Lord commanded him not to, and he didn't obey the Lord. Then he made an offering, and he wasn't even a high priest. So it was, hey, Leviticus 20:1. Leviticus 20:1. Are y'all with me? Yes. Are y'all understanding this? Yes, sir. 20:1. Leviticus 20:1. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones, and I will set my face against that man, and will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name.
You got a picture of that star Moloch and Rephaim? I sent that to email. Because somehow we got some brothers that run around wearing this star around their neck. Then they tell you it's maybe somebody else's star. I don't know whose star they say. Maybe David's.
I think they try to say it's David.
Maybe David's star.
Yeah.
Huh? Let's check it out. You got a picture of it? Huh? That star of Moloch I sent you. Okay, can you please put that up there? Let me see what the captions say on this star of Moloch. Came with some captions on there. What does it say there? The symbol was condemned in the Old Testament. This symbol was condemned in the New Testament. King David had nothing to do with this symbol. So why on earth are you standing by it? That is the star of Moloch. These are the scriptures you can read, Amos 5:26, and also Acts 7:43, when the Lord said you was worshiping Moloch and these other strange gods, and you wore this star, star of your gods. Read the scripture that's with it, sisters and brothers. That is the star of Moloch. That has nothing to do with the star of David. Nothing at all. But he said you sacrifice your kids to this God too. To this God, Moloch.
Right.
Which is wrapped up into Christmas too, which is going back to Asherah, which goes back to Baal, which is another symbol for Baal. Let's go, skip on down, keep on reading. Keep on reading, yeah.
Verse 4. And if the people of the land do any ways hide their eyes from the man, when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off. And all that go a-whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people, and the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards, to go a-whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul.
He said, if you go and you see somebody have a familiar spirit, not only is the one who got doing familiar spirits in trouble, but you're going to be in trouble for going to seek them, like Saul was.
Right.
Skip on down to verse 27. Go ahead.
A man also or woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them.
So he said, if you have wizards or somebody who have familiar spirits in the land, what are you supposed to do to them?
Stone them with stones.
You're supposed to kill them. Now we over here thinking it's okay. Dressing our kids up like it.
Right.
Watching vampire movies. Somebody sucking blood. Telling you, sisters and brothers, I don't watch none of that stuff. As soon as I see somebody on TV with some red eyes and with some fangs, I turn the TV real quick. They on there sucking blood. Oh, you think that was fake? They were doing that too.
Oh, yeah.
They was eating blood back then too. You think that was fake, huh? You think all these we think all these movies and shows be fake. This is programming. Satanic people still, the church of Satan still deal with blood. We have to understand that. The satanic church still deals with blood offerings. All these people in Hollywood still do blood sacrifices. The sister was saying on a news report that they was taking her menstrual cycle and they was giving it to the music community. They was eating her menstrual cycle.
Come on.
Look it up. She came live on TV and said that.
Wow.
At these parties they were having. Sisters and brothers, it's not to be played with. Deuteronomy 13:1. Because somebody gonna come among you and say, hey, let's go find us some other gods, Brother Marcus.
No, sir.
Let's go seek us some gods. Your pastor might say, hey, let's go have Halloween in the church. Let's throw this Christmas tree up in the front right here. What's the Lord say if somebody come prophesy and tell you to do these things, Brother Marcus? Go ahead. 13:1. Deuteronomy 13:1. Go ahead.
If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams.
A dreamer? Did the Lord talk about dreamers and enchanters and wizards and all these? Go ahead.
Yes, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder.
That sign, that wonder should be in this book. The Lord said he would surely do nothing but reveal all his secrets to his prophet and his servants. Okay. If somebody tell you something from the Lord, you should be able to open the page of this book and read it.
True.
Go ahead.
And the sign of the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death.
To be doing what?
Put to death.
Killed. Go ahead.
Because he had spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in.
I be looking at them preachers on TV. They be talking about, I was laying in the bed last night, and the Lord came to me, and the Lord told me to tell you, to buy me a new car. Every time they dream a vision, it always got to do with money. Right. It always got to do with you giving them some kind of money somehow. They always got a vision from the Lord, and it always happened right before they pass the plate too. Right before they pass that plate around, they got some vision the Lord spoke to them last night. And it all got to do, the Lord said, build me a bigger house. We need to raise more money. The Lord said that you was going to do it for me. You was going to make it happen.
Right.
He said, hey, man, these are dreams. He said they speak visions, but the visions they own. Go ahead, brother. Now somebody come dreaming a dream telling you, hey, let's go bring Halloween into the church.
Right.
Let's go start doing Christmas. The Lord showed me this. Go ahead. Keep
Into
reading.
5. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend,
anybody, go ahead,
which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying,
what?
Let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely, of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him.
But you should do what?
But thou shalt surely kill him.
You got to kill your wife. I ain't saying do that now, sister, brother. I don't want you to go home killing your wife now. Because Brother Will said, we read it, I got to go home and stone my wife because she got my kids doing Halloween now. No, I didn't say that. This is under the Old Testament now.
Under the Old Covenant.
This is the Old Covenant, sisters and brother. Don't go home killing your husband, throwing grits on him, nothing like that, because you got your kids doing Halloween. But we just reading it for the purpose of, he said, don't go along with it. Right. Don't consent to it. Right. Go ahead.
Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people.
Man, that was brutal back then.
Yes, sir.
You got to kill him and drag him out, and then everybody else got to join in and kill him with you. Wow. And this is your wife. You love. It said the wife of your bosom.
Right.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If thou shalt hear say in one of thy cities, which the Lord thy God hath given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known. Then shalt thou inquire and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you,
then the Lord tell you got to kill him too.
Thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city.
Woo.
And all the spoil.
If they start doing abomination, you got to burn the whole city down.
That's what it says.
Man, the Lord was serious about this, Brother
Yes,
Marcus.
indeed.
He said they cattle, they children, they house, everything got to be burned.
Everything.
Go ahead.
All the spoil thereof, every whit, for the Lord thy God, and it shall be an heap forever, it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave naught of the cursed thing to thine hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers. When thou shalt hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep all his commandments which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord thy God.
That's right, Isaiah 8 and 17. We're going to pick it up a little bit. I'm going to do
Okay.
less talking so we can get up out of here. Isaiah 8 and 17. But are you guys understand what we're reading, sisters and brothers? You don't supposed to go along with these things.
No, sir.
A lot of us are too passive. I wish one of my friends would come around me with a devil costume on. Hey, man, hey, our friendship just come to an end now, you know. I see some things in you I don't like. Right. Isaiah 8 and 17, brother, go ahead.
And I will wait upon the Lord, that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel, from the Lord of hosts.
He said, I'm going to wait on the Lord, though.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Which dwelleth in Mount Zion.
Uh-huh.
And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God?
Should not a people seek their own God?
Right.
Why are you seeking unto these familiar spirits and these wizards and those who peep and do enchanters? Mm-hmm. You should be seeking your God.
That's right.
Because these ain't going to profit you nothing. They going to bring on you swift damnation. Go ahead. That was it?
For the living to the dead.
For the living to the dead, sisters. But let's go to Psalms 106 and 1. Psalms 106 and 1. You should be seeking the living God, sister, but why are you seeking dead things? People dress up and go to the cemetery on Halloween. Mm-hmm. Then they go to a haunted house. Some of y'all scared and sleep with your light on at nighttime, but you're going to get up and go to a haunted house. Folks still got their light on, sleep with the TV on all night because they scared. But you're going to get bold one day and you're going to go to the cemetery with an outfit on and you're going to conjure the devils.
Right.
Right. Tell me the future.
Right.
Then that Ouija board tell you you're going to die, now you scared. Mm-hmm. People be up all night. That Ouija board said I'm going to die.
Right.
You wanted to hear it.
Right.
You know that Ouija board ain't ever brought no good to you. Right. It's like the devil.
Right.
Then it seems like that you the one moving that thing though. People be having there like, I be watching them. Look like you moving it. Then they made a whole song about it. Dear Mr. Ouija, I want to know my future. What about that murder? What?
Right.
See, the stuff that people put into songs and music system, brothers, all this is programming. Right. 106 and 1. Psalms 106 and 1. Go ahead, brother.
Praise ye the Lord.
Yes.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord. For he is good.
Yes.
For his mercy endureth forever.
We read that earlier in Jonah. Don't forsake the mercy of the Lord by your vanity.
Right.
Go ahead.
Who can utter the mighty acts of the Lord?
Yes.
Who can show forth all his praise?
Who can do that? Can these other guys do that?
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times.
Skip on down to verse 7.
Our fathers understood not thy wonders in
See,
Egypt.
our fathers forgot those things. They forgot the works of the Lord and his mercy. Go ahead.
They remembered not the multitude of thy mercies, but provoked him at the sea, even at the Red Sea. Nevertheless, he saved them for his name's sake.
He saved them for his name's sake. Go ahead.
That he might make his mighty power to be known.
That's right. Skip on down to 28. Go ahead.
They joined themselves also unto Baal Peor, and ate the sacrifices of the dead.
They ate the sacrifice of the who?
The dead.
Go ahead. How did they eat the sacrifice of the dead? Let's read.
Thus they provoked him to anger with their inventions.
They evil invention system, but they created these gods. They dressed these gods up and provoked him to anger. Go ahead.
And the plague break in upon them.
Go ahead.
Skip.
Let's skip on down to 34. Go ahead.
They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them.
Yep.
But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
They did what?
They learned their works.
They learned their work system. How did they learn their works? Verse 36.
And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
Their idols were a what system, brothers?
A snare.
Them idols, they did nothing but get us in trouble as a people. Ain't did nothing but make our situation even worse. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. They sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils.
Whew. Go ahead, brother.
And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan. And the land was polluted with blood.
And the land was polluted with blood, sisters and brothers. But they did this. They sacrificed their sons and daughters and idols. Go to Ezekiel 20 and 1. Ezekiel 20 and 1. He didn't say their daughters and sons were taken from them in sacrifice.
Right.
They willingly gave them up to these strange gods. Ezekiel 20 and 1. See, we did these things, sisters and brothers. The Lord warned us not to do these things when we came around these other nations. Now they're killing the heritage of the Lord
That's right.
and sacrificing it to some other god. 20 and 1. Go ahead, brother.
And it came to pass in the 7th year, in the 5th month, the 10th day of the month, that certain of the elders of Israel came to inquire of the Lord and sat
They
before me.
inquire the Lord.
They did.
Ask him some questions, right? Seek some knowledge from the Lord. What did he say to him?
Then came the word of the Lord unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Are you come to inquire of me?
How you come to question me? Go ahead.
As I live, saith the Lord God, I will not be inquired of by you.
Go ahead.
Wilt thou judge them, son of man? Wilt thou judge them? Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers.
What did they do? Read verse, skip on down to verse 8. Let's see what their fathers did. Go ahead.
But they rebelled against me and would not hearken unto me. They did not every man cast away the abominations of their eyes. Neither did they forsake the idols of Egypt.
What did they do?
Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them, to accomplish my anger against them in the midst of the land of Egypt. But I wrought for my name's sake.
He said again, but he didn't destroy them all for his name's sake.
That's right.
Go ahead.
That it should not be polluted before the heathen, among whom they were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them, in bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt. Wherefore I caused them
Do
to
you
go...
notice he brought Israel out of Egypt? All of Israel out of Egypt. He could have destroyed them in Egypt, right? But he brought them into the wilderness. Then when they rebelled against him, then he killed them in privacy in the wilderness. Not in front of other nations, because other nations would have said, hey, he brought them out to kill them.
Right.
He said, that's why I did it not among the heathens. I didn't do it in front of the heathens. You rebelled against me in the wilderness.
Right.
Over strange flesh. They wanted some meat. So he started killing them.
Right.
He gave them so much meat, they started choking.
Right.
Then he said when they was choking, then he started slaying them.
Right.
Left and right. Go ahead.
Wherefore I caused them to go forth out of the land of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness. And I gave them my statutes and showed them my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them.
That's right. Let's skip on down to verse 22. Skip on down to verse 22. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, I withdrew mine hand and wrought for my name's sake, that it should not be polluted in the sight of the heathen, in whose sight I brought them
He
forth.
keeps it over and over again, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I lifted up mine hand unto them also in the wilderness, that I would scatter them among the heathen, and disperse them through the countries, because they had not executed my judgments, but had despised my statutes, and had polluted my Sabbaths, and their eyes were after their fathers' idols. Wherefore I gave them also statutes that were not good, and judgments whereby they should not live.
That's right.
And I polluted them in their own gifts, and that they caused to pass through the fire all that openeth the womb, that I might make them desolate, to the end that they might know that I am the Lord.
Ooh, the Lord said he did all these things.
Yes.
Skip on down to verse 28. Go ahead.
For when I had brought them into the land, for the which I lifted up mine hand to give it to them, then they saw every high hill, and all the thick trees, and they offered there their sacrifices.
Boy, he keeps saying over and over again, you was under every green tree, sacrificing to these gods. If you just take that Y away from every green tree, it somehow say evergreen. And we be on December 25th under every green tree, sacrificing to these gods.
Yep.
He said every green tree about 10 times in the book. And you just somehow take that Y away and it's an evergreen tree. And that's the same tree they use. These stick bowls, the book say. Go ahead.
And there they presented the provocation of their offering. There also they made their sweet savor, and poured out their drink offerings. Then I said unto them, what is the high place whereunto you go? And the name thereof is called Bama unto this day. Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord God, are you polluted after the manner of your fathers, and commit ye whoredom after their abominations?
Hey, do you do the same thing that your fathers did?
Right.
And we do, sisters and brothers. We still serving them same gods that our fathers served.
Yep.
And sacrificing all them idols. Finish reading that on your own, sisters and brothers. We got to keep on moving. Let's go to this piece that I have called Halloween. Treat or pagan treat. Treat or pagan treat. Treat or pagan treat. Because he said you sacrifice your kids to these different gods and cause them to pass through the fire. Read that, brother. Start off right there at the top with, read the title.
Halloween, kids treat or pagan trick. Many Christians celebrate holidays such as Halloween without thinking about their origins or true meaning. It is impossible to separate Halloween from the Druids because they originated the quote-unquote holiday.
The Druids and the Celtics originated the holiday, sisters and brothers. Go back and read about the Druids and the Celtics. Go ahead.
For several hundred years before Christ, the Celts inhabited what is now France, Germany, England, Scotland, and Ireland. Celtic priests were called Druids. These people were eventually conquered by the Romans.
Go ahead.
Information about the Celts and Druids comes from Caesar and the Roman historians. Greek writings from about 200 BC and very early records found in Ireland. Greek and Roman writings about the Druids dwell heavily on their frequent and barbaric human sacrifices.
They did what? They did human sacrifices.
Yes, that's what it says.
Go ahead.
The ancient Irish texts say little about human sacrifices, but detail the Druids' use of magic to raise storms, lay curses.
Now, we talked about that in the van, right? They use magic and necromancy to change the weather. Go ahead.
To raise storms, lay curses on places, kill by the use of spells, and create magical obstacles.
Sisters and brothers, a lot of these movies and stuff we watch do the same thing. They cast spells and storms arise. Hurricanes, tornadoes in the movies.
Yes, sir.
Marvel movies, you got Thor, the god of thunder. He uses his magic to cause thunder.
Right.
You got Loki, the god of mischief, which brings storms and stuff on. Right. All of these things go back to the Celtics and the Druids and the Norse gods. Go ahead, skip on down.
To human sacrifice?
To human sacrifices.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Davies, however, a 16th century writer who traced his family lineage directly back to Druid priests who fought against Caesar, clearly describes the human sacrifices of his ancestors and the secret sacrifices still performed regularly by the Druids of his time. By 47 AD, Rome finally defeated the Druids in Britain and outlawed human sacrifices. The few remaining Druids went underground. Today, a growing group of people claiming to be of direct Druid descent.
And I heard that, sister, but I still hear people call themselves the Druids. The Druid kings and princes and stuff. Go ahead.
Still practice their religion, including human sacrifice. Those in England still perform ceremonies at Stonehenge.
Skip on down.
To October 31st?
To October 31st. Read these. October 31st, November 1st.
October 31st was celebrated by Druids with many human sacrifices and a festival honoring their sun god and Samhain.
Oh, Samhain. Who heard of Samhain? Which is the real name of Halloween, which is the god Samhain. Go ahead.
The Lord of the dead.
The Lord of the who?
The Lord of the dead.
But the God of the Bible says he's the God of the living,
That's
not
right.
the God of the dead. So who would be the God of the dead then?
Satan the devil.
Satan the devil. Go ahead.
They believe that the sinful souls of those who died during the year were in a place of torment and would be released.
Purgatory. You was in between somewhere.
Right.
Go ahead and be what?
And would be released only if Samhain was pleased with their sacrifices.
So they decided to put their kids on these altars and sacrifice them to Samhain to make a burnt offering to Baal and them to release their trapped ancestors who was in purgatory. I'll tell you, boy, keep on going down.
To the modern custom?
The modern customs. Go ahead.
The modern custom of going from door to door asking for food and candy goes back to the time of the Druids.
It might be on the other page, Patrick. Here we go. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
They believe that sinful lost souls were released upon the earth by Samhain for one night on October 31st while they awaited their judgment. They were thought to throng about the houses of the living and were greeted with banquet-laden tables. People greatly feared these spirits and thought that the spirits would harm and even kill them if the sacrifices they gave did not appease Samhain. They carved demonic faces into pumpkins or large turnips, placing a candle in them to keep the evil spirits away from their homes.
A candle in the pumpkin. Now you see where that candle came from.
Right. The tradition of bobbing for apples and giving out nuts came from a Roman addition to the Druidic New Year's Eve. The Romans worshipped Pomona, who was the goddess of the harvest.
Boy, it seemed to be around harvest time too, right? Go ahead.
They combined their harvest festival to Pomona with Halloween.
Ooh. So you got two for one. Two gods in one.
Right.
Boy, you can't get no better than that, boy. And we can combine two gods. So now we all can get along. What we read that now?
It continues, says very little archaeology.
Go ahead.
Very little archaeological evidence of the Druids has been found, but there is excellent agreement between the Roman and Irish documents. Both clearly state that the knowledge of the Druids was never committed to writing, but passed from generation to generation by oral teaching. This was to protect their secrets. In his writings, Davies indicates that he came under much persecution by his family for putting in writing his information about Druids. The same is true today. Nothing is put into writing. The Druids continue on secretly with much the same tradition.
Go ahead.
The widespread problem of harmful substances such as razor blades, drugs, poisons, needles, etc., being placed in the Halloween treats here in America is no accident. Testimonies of several ex-Satanists show that these children killed and injured by the quote-unquote treats are sacrifices to Satan or Samhain. Satanists throughout the world continue to perform human sacrifices on Halloween.
Well, let's go to the other document.
Wow.
That was kind of deep right there.
Yes, sir.
Man,
I need to drink some water.
I'm kind of scared to leave out the house on October 31st now. Man, but I don't fear nobody but the Lord.
That's right.
Because he said these guys can come to nothing.
That's right.
Go to
You want this part or this part?
Yeah, that other one. When is Halloween? Yeah, that document, Patrick. We almost out of here, sisters and brothers.
Okay. What is the history of Halloween?
What is the history of Halloween? See, Halloween actually has 3 days, October 31st, November 1st, and November 2nd. You got Halloween, which is Samhain, and you got the Day of the Dead, which is November 2nd, then you got All Saints Day, which is November 1st. You got 3 different days spread abroad. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Halloween. There we go. That's it. Start with that one.
Okay.
Start with the top one.
Halloween is a holiday celebrated each year on October 31st, and Halloween 2024 will occur on Thursday, October 31st. The tradition originated with the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, when people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts.
How Satan gonna cast out Satan?
It can't happen.
Huh?
Not gonna happen.
That's a divided kingdom, right? Ain't that what Jesus said himself?
Right.
Go ahead.
In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III.
Who brought it in?
Pope Gregory III.
Not the priest?
Yes.
Who brought in sun worship? Not the priest?
Yes.
Pope Gregory III, go ahead.
Designated November 1st as a time to honor All Saints. Soon, All Saints Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. The evening before was known as All Hallows Eve.
How many of y'all heard that All Hallows Eve? Go ahead.
And later Halloween. Over time, Halloween evolved into a day of activities like trick or treating, carving jack-o'-lanterns, festive gatherings, donning costumes, and eating treats.
We just read all that in the other article, right? Go ahead. Keep on. Go back down. Keep going down.
What is the history of Halloween?
Uh-huh.
Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. The Celts, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. This day marked the end of summer and the harvest, and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to earth. In addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For a people entirely
about the future.
About the future.
Okay.
For a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the long, dark winter. Continue?
No, that's good, brother. I'm done with that one. Okay. I'm completely done with that one, brother. I'm discombobulated. I'm just all over the place. Now let's go to Isaiah 47:10. That threw me for a total loop. That this is what we did with our kids. Right. We dressed our kids up and sent them out to be sacrificed to these gods. Then you got to go home and go through your kids' candy to make sure nobody put a razor blade in it.
Right.
This is sick. Isaiah 47:10. We almost out of here. We got about 3 more places, 3 more scriptures. We out of here. Isaiah 47:10. Go ahead when you get there, Brother Marcus. 47:10.
Well, thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know.
He said, hey, all these things going to happen to you because I'm going to bring them on you. Because you don't want to hearken to my law, statutes, and commandments. This is what I want you to do. Read what he said I want you to do.
Stand now with thine enchantments.
You stand with your enchantments. Go ahead.
And with the multitude of thy sorceries.
And the multitude of your sorceries. Go ahead.
Wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail.
Go ahead.
Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsel. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers.
The who?
The stargazers.
And the stargazers. Go ahead.
The monthly prognosticators.
Yes.
Stand up.
The who?
The monthly prognosticators.
Go ahead.
Stand up.
Yes.
And save thee from these things that shall come upon thee.
He said, let them do these things. Let them stand for you on your behalf.
That's right. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander, every one to his quarter, none shall save thee.
None shall save thee. He said, go ahead and stand with your stargazers and your astrologers and your monthly
Prognosticators.
Prognosticators, you know. I ain't technical now, but I can read. All right? Laugh what you want to, because half y'all can pronounce that yourselves. Read the definition of what that is, brother.
Yes, sir. Prognosticator. Now, a person who foretells or prophesies a future event.
What if I told you that ancient weather forecasting the weather through the ancient, they use familiar spirits to forecast the weather. And we just read earlier where it said that they even use that to change and cause storms. What if I told you that? That's why it's called forecasting. To know something in the future. What if I told you that ancient Babylon used witchcraft and familiar spirits to forecast weather? Let's go to that piece I got called Magnelia Weather.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm not saying they use that now, because now they use technology. But back then, they didn't have technology. They had the Doppler and all that. We got the Doppler and all that now. And they have technology now. But did they have technology back then, sisters and brothers?
No, sir.
Put that article up there. What does it say?
Menelagia, ancient weather wisdom. Did you know that you can predict the weather for the remaining of the year by paying close attention
That's it.
to what we call Menelagia? It derives from two Greek words, menos, meaning month, and elagi, change. In observation and divination passed down from
Through
generation, observation
Divination.
and divination.
Well, you got divination in there, brother. Go ahead.
Passed down from generation to generation.
Go ahead.
The core of Menelagia is the month of August. The weather conditions during the first 12 days, this is cut off,
It's cut off.
are believed to project the weather for the rest of the year, one day for each month. Some consider the first 3 days of August as kakakuskis, unlucky, bad August days, and start their observation on the third day instead of the first. So here it goes. The first observation day, either the 1st or the 3rd of August, represents August. The second one is linked to September weather, the 3rd to October.
So they
the 4th
tell
to
you how to
November,
do it.
the 5th of
Now,
December,
I want you
and so
guys
on.
to download this because his is cut off. But it's going to tell you when you read this article, download this, that the Norse use sun gods and weather gods that they pray to alter the weather. They pray to these different gods. So we can read that on another time because we really want to get deep into that. But let's go to Deuteronomy 4th chapter and 1. Deuteronomy 4th chapter and 1. Because the Lord told you that. He warned you about this.
Yes, indeed.
He warned you about astrologers and stargazers. People that's into zodiac signs and so you got people out there that really study the stars, which is not a problem, but when you start worshiping them, that's when the problem is.
That's right.
Studying the stars and the planets is not a problem. And when you start basing it off of certain events, like, you know, you can't date nobody because your sign is a such and such, and that's the god of the air, and you know, then you got to date somebody who is able to accept your air and all this. Like, man, what?
Right.
What?
Right.
Like, you a water sign. You can't date a fire sign because water puts out fire.
Right.
What? I just want a wife. I don't care. What you got going over here? Deuteronomy 4:1. Because, you know, every time I used to date, the woman used to say, what's your sign? Right. I'm a Libra. What's yours? Oh, no, Aquarius don't go good with the Libras. No, I don't know. It ain't going to work. They don't say, do you believe in God? Right. Do you serve God?
Right.
Do you believe in the Sabbath day? You keep the commandments?
True.
They don't ask that. The first thing they do, what's your sign?
Right.
They don't care if you believe in God or not, as long as your sign match.
Right.
Hey, the sign say we match. We should be good.
Right.
Deuteronomy 4:1. Go ahead.
Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers giveth you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, the Lord thy God hath destroyed them from among you. But you that did cleave unto the Lord your God are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments, so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life.
And he's going to go forth to tell you that the Lord spoke to you out of a thick cloud, and you saw no similitude. You saw no shape of his. You don't see how he looked. So who's that guy on the wall that they say is Jesus? Huh?
Tell me.
And nobody never saw him. He said he would cover Moses, and Moses only saw his backside. Skip on down to 15. Actually 14, but let's pick up at 14, Brother Marcus. So he said, you don't know how he looked. And he did it on purpose. Why?
And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun,
When you see the sun, Astra,
and the moon,
Alat, El-Alat, the moon god. Go ahead.
and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship
Should
them.
be driven to do what?
Worship them.
See, these are all gods that they worship. They worship Astra, Baal. Islam worship El-Alat, which is a female god, the god of the moon.
Yes, sir.
And they worship the 5 stars because those are 5 nations that the religion conquered. It's a half moon because she got taken out in the midst of her rulership. But she's a female goddess. They dropped the EL, and then they just call her Allah now. But if you watch some old ancient movies with them Ishmaelites going there to do bombings and stuff, they always scream out, El-Alat! Then they blow the place up, because that was her original name, was El-Alat. See, these things you should know, sister, brother, but they serve the moon god. It's a female god. Go ahead. But he said, unless you be driven to do these things. Go ahead.
To worship them and serve them,
Yes.
which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven.
He said he divided them unto all nations under the whole heaven. Let's go to Genesis 1 and 14. Why did the Lord give you the sun, the moon, and the stars, brother?
That's right.
Why did he give them to you?
Good
They
question.
were never created to be worshipped.
Not at all.
Because they were created on the day. They didn't create the day.
No,
they were
sir.
created on the day.
Right.
Go ahead. So somebody had to create them. So how you going to worship something that the creator created? That's why the book tells you, Romans, the 1st chapter, they worship the creature more than the creator.
That's right.
You worship the things that God, the creator, created, like the child. That's a creature.
That's right.
The grasshopper is a creature. You go over there to India, boy, I bet you better not go over there trying to eat some beef. Boy, they love that cow.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. That's where that term came
They
from.
say, right?
Go ahead and read, brother. Why did the Lord create these things? Go ahead.
14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night.
To do what?
Divide the day from the night.
Go ahead.
And let them be for signs and for seasons.
For signs. And for seasons. Go ahead.
And for days and years.
And for days and years, sisters and brothers. Go ahead.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven.
To do what?
To give light upon the earth.
Sisters and brothers, the Lord gave us the moon to be able to tell the feast days. To be able to tell the beginning of the month. To be able to set this calendar in order. He's given us the moon. We counted 13 new moons to set the feast days. Sisters and brothers, we don't worship the moon.
No, sir.
We use the moon in its purpose that the Lord has given us for a sign, for seasons, to separate the day from night. That's why the book tells us in Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of God, the firmament shows forth his handiwork. Day unto day utter speech, night unto night utter knowledge. There is no language where their voices are not heard, the book say. The heavens speak to you about the obedience of God. Tells you about his creation. When you look at the heavens tell you that we are still obedient to God. The moon is still the lesser light. The sun is still the greater light. The sun still rises in the east and sets in the west. The heavens are a total obedience of God. Everything is obedience of God except for man.
Right.
Except for man. That's why the book tells you that the heavens declare his glory. It shows his handiwork. He set him in the firmament to give light upon the earth. That's his handiwork, brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Last place. He warned us not to do these things.
That's right.
Don't do these things, sisters and brothers. Don't deal with these things. 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. These things will get us in trouble. Go ahead. This is who we should be following right here. Go ahead.
Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant.
Yes.
How that all our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea.
Yes, we did. Go ahead.
And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. And did all eat the same spiritual meat.
What spiritual meat was that? Go ahead.
And did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them.
Which was who?
And that rock was Christ.
That's who our fathers follow, right?
That's right.
They was baptized unto Moses in the sea, and they followed after that rock, which was Christ. Yes. Go ahead.
But with many of them, God was not well pleased. For they were overthrown in the wilderness.
Yes.
Now these things were our examples.
Yes.
To the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lust.
Go ahead.
Neither be ye idolaters. As were some of them, as it is written. The people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play.
Go ahead.
Commit fornication.
Yes.
As some of them committed. And fell in one day 23,000.
Go ahead.
Neither let us tempt Christ.
Yes.
As some of them also tempted and were destroyed of serpents.
Go ahead. Skip on down to verse 16. No, I don't know why I put that in there. I think that was it. I don't know why 16 is in there.
Okay.
Neither let us tempt Christ, sisters and brothers. Actually, I do. I want to read. Skip to 16. Let's read on. No, let's skip to actually 17 and read on.
Verse 17. For we, being many, are one bread and one body. For we are all partakers of that one bread.
Yes.
Behold, Israel after the flesh, are not they which eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar?
Yes.
What say I then? That the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything?
Yes.
But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice,
they do what?
They sacrifice to devils, and not to God. And not to God.
And not to God. Go ahead.
And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils.
Woo! He said, I would not that you have fellowship with those who sacrifice unto idols. Go ahead.
You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils.
Yes.
You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the tables of devils.
Go ahead, 22.
Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy?
Yes.
Are we stronger than he?
Are we stronger than the Lord, sisters and brothers?
No, sir.
He told us don't be partakers with him and don't provoke him to jealousy, sisters and brothers. And don't be partakers with those who sacrifice unto devils. So I plead with you, sisters and brothers, don't do this thing. I thank you for your time.
My brother.